What's on minifans? In this video, I'm going to be showing how I made this furnace. If you like anything in the video, please hit that like button and subscribe if you want to stay up to date with all my content. Anyway, let's get on to building. Alrighty, I start off with a water bottle, and I've cut the top off, and some 2mm thick cardboard. Now, what I want to do is make two rings which are going to support the side panels of the whole build. So one at the top, one at the bottom. And these rings are 10 centimeters in diameter. Drew this out with a compass, and then an inner circle of 5.8 to match the bottle. And then I cut these out. Alrighty, we've got our two circles now. What I do next is, using my cutting mat as a grid, I mark in 4 centimeters, 6 centimeters both sides, and cut out a chunk. So I'm going to have a 2 centimeter gap in each of the rings. Alright, I want a vent on the front of the furnace, and I'm going to use a bottle top for this, but it's recessed too much, so I'm going to stick another bottle top onto this one. Now for the front grate of a vent, what I do, I just use some card, 1mm thick card, and I trace around the bottle top, and then using a compass I do an inner line. It's about 3mm wide, and then I do 3mm intervals all the way along this square of card, and I cut out sections alternating. This was quite fiddly, but it does look cool. Next I cut out that vent I've just made, or the grate I've just made. I just cut around the circle. And then I want to make sure that the inside of a bottle top is dark, so I just prime it black, and then using PVA glue stick the grate onto the front. What we do now is make the side panels. I've cut out 2 bits of card. They're 13.5 by 8 centimeters. Now I need a bit of a circular cutout for the bottle top to fit in. So I've stuck the 2 side panels down 2 centimeters apart on my cutting mat, and then using a compass I draw out that circle. It's just over 3 centimeters. I just use a compass. I've moved on a little bit now. On those 2 bits of card, I've drawn out a grid, and I've measured in 2.5 centimeters from the top and bottom, drawn a line across, and then 2 other lines which are 4 centimeters in from the sides. So the central section is 5.5 centimeters wide. Then I've drawn diagonals from each of the corners into where the lines meet, and then I've pretty much repeated this shape, but just in the 2mm thick cardboard again, but it's 4mm smaller in height, because the semicircle panels we've made earlier are 2mm thick, and I want this to be flush with the card. You can see in the video. And then what I do is cut out all those panels on the actual card, but I cut just inside the lines, so there'll be a gap between each of these panels when they're glued on. Let's glue those panels down. I just use PVA glue and stick all those card panels to the bits of cardboard, and then let it all dry. What I've done here is make 2 bits of trim for either side of the panels. So it's 5mm thick and follows the line around where the bottle cap will be. I just traced this on using the actual panel itself, and then I go ahead and glue these on with PVA again. Alright, so we're on to making the frame for the side panels using those semicircles. What I've done is cut some lengths of chipboard. They're 7.6 centimeters long, 2 centimeters wide, and then another panel which again is 7.6 by about 1.5. This one doesn't really matter, it's just for some support. And I basically just glue the semicircles onto the ends of these bits of chipboard using PVA glue, and then I wedge it all into place with some paint pots and let it dry. Unfortunately, I lost this bit of footage, but what I've done is I've got the side panels, which are all dry now, and I've curled them around a bottle just to help the cardboard, curl. And then I've put a load of PVA glue on the edges of those semicircles we've made, stick the panels on, and then using masking tape to hold it in place. And then I wanted it to be super strong, so I used a copious amount of hot glue on the inside. I've glued some cardboard into the bottle cap, so I've got a bigger surface to glue it onto the bottle. Now what I do is whack the bottle down, put some piles of chipboard around the edges to the height I want the side panels, put the side panels into place, and I masking tape them on, check that the bottle caps fit in the front, and then I just glue them in with hot glue. For the back of this furnace, I want a kind of chimney coming out. I've got one of those bits of a kid's plastic pipe set, which I've scraped off the mould lines and sanded around the top so it will glue better. And then the other bit I use here is from a hand soap dispenser, and I've cut some of the end off, sanded it down, and then I just glue this on top of the pipe with super glue, and then glue this to the back of the bottle just using hot glue again. You can see what I do here in this video. I've cut out some panels of card. They're 8 centimeters long by, I think they were about 2.3 or 2.2 centimeters wide. These are just cut to fit, and they basically go on the flat bits of the semicircles. And then on the other side, where we've made that cutout for the bottle caps, I've just cut 2 sections, one small, one big, and these all fit into place. I just glue these on with PVA glue and then use masking tape to hold them down. Onto the base, I'm just using a bit of chipboard which was left over from a previous project. It's a 7 centimeter square with the corners cut off, and then I want to put a tube going up to the vent at the front of the furnace. So I've got some of these cat poo bag inner rolls, and I've just cut this off level with the vent, and then I have this cap thing. I think it was from the hand soap dispenser again, but it fits perfectly with the tube. So I just glue these together and then glue this onto the base, and then I glue the bottle itself onto this. let's glue those side panels on now. I initially just use hot glue, stick them into place, make sure they're all level, and then I go around that joint with a bit of super glue as well, just to make sure it's secure. I want a little pipe going from the bottle to the top of that front vent, and I have these like coat hooks, plastic coat hooks. And I've chopped off a bit of the actual hanging bit, and I glue this on top of the bottle tops, and then I want to make some pipes going between the two side panels. I have some different sizes of straws. Some fit inside others, so I can make like some casings on either end. So I glue all these bits together and then wedge them into place. This was a little bit fiddly. I have to mess around with tweezers and whatnot, and then I just super glue these on. Final little bit before we move on to the roof. I want to add just a tiny bit more detail onto the top of the armor panels, and I have the ends of cable ties from various other projects, so I just snip these off so they're flush, just the end bit, and I glue 6 of these onto the top, and I use PVA so I can maneuver them into place and make sure they're all straight before they dry. For the roof itself, I've just cut a 10cm diameter circle out of chipboard. I just used scissors to cut this, and then I cut out a 2cm section on one end, and this is where the chimney, the smokestack at the back is. And then I want it textured, so I just use some of that mesh, whack a load of PVA glue down on the chipboard, put the mesh on, put some greaseproof paper on top, and then I just weigh it all down with books until it's dried. My wife helped me with this bit. She cut out 3 rings of card, which are total diameter 6 centimeters, and then an inner circle cut out, so the width of the ring is 5 mils. So there's 3 of these, and I glue these all together. And I've traced that inner circle out onto some corrugated paper, which I've then cut out that circle. And then I've cut out 2 5mm wide strips of card, and these get glued down into the center of that corrugated paper. And I kind of crushed it down so they were flat. This is like a hatch or some kind of door into the top of the furnace. Oh, the tedious bit. Tedious and fiddly. Riveting. I'm, again, just using fingernail beads, and I'm quite sparse with the rivets on this. I just do the trim on the armoured side panels, and I just do 4 rivets on each. Again, I get the rivets in almost into place, spot a super glue, manoeuvre them into place, let them dry. Quick tip here. One of my subscribers commented about this and suggested using a damp brush to pick up the rivets, but I've actually found if you just wet your finger, you can easily get one on there and just sort of drop it into place. Back to the roof. It's all dry now. What I do is just trim off the excess mesh with a pair of scissors and then bend down any sort of loose bits, and then I cut some 4mm wide card and just super glue this around the outside edge as a kind of trim. Almost there. I get the rings we made earlier and just I just push in the corrugated paper because it fits so snugly. Then I cover this with glue, PVA glue, and stick it into the dead center of the roof. And I actually put again some baking paper on top and weigh it down until it's dried. Final part of the build, attaching the roof. I wanted a bit more of a surface area for it to glue to, so I just, using hot glue, I glue in some squares of cardboard onto the inside top of the bottle, and then a circle of cardboard on top of that, and then I glue the roof on top of this. Then I Mod Podge the entire thing, spray prime it black, and then base coat it with burnt umber. Proper painting time. The base coat is all dried. I give it 2 pretty heavy dry brushes of silver all over, and then the main panels on the sides I paint with a few thin down layers of orange, and the pipes at the front I paint some blue and some kind of bluey green just for some colour variation. I wait for all this to dry, and then I give it a black wash, and this is my homemade black wash, which is black paint, water and dish soap. I dab some of this off the orange panels because I don't want them to be too dark. Then I wait for this all to dry, and I go in with my rust effect, so some burnt umber sponged on in various places, followed by some orange sponged on. And then I sponge on a little bit of silver on some of the panels to show where the paint's, chipped off. And then as a final stage, I just do some stains with some brown ink, and that's it. Here's some photos, some glamour shots of the finished build. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.